Well, good evening, everyone. This is John Raymond with Timeshare Talks, and we're happy to have you all here with us tonight. We're really blessed to have with us Jessica Burke with Virginia Beach Rentals. She's going to talk to us about her rental business and how many resorts that she handles and the number of people that she helps. Now, she deals specifically in Virginia Beach. Next week, coming up, we're going to have Mike Kennedy and James Brunbridge from Koala, which has a rental-based business also, and it's more of on a worldwide basis. So, Virginia, we'd like to know a lot more about your business. I know the audience is waiting to hear from you and see how what you offer and how you can help them.
So we actually handle all of the Virginia Beach timeshare resorts. There's about 11 of them here locally. There are a few that are Diamond affiliated, and there are some BSA resorts and other ones that are owner managed, basically where the owners pick the management company. We handle over 250 plus rental weeks, mainly in the summertime, spring to fall-ish, just depending on the year. But mostly every owner that owns a fixed week in Virginia Beach, we rent for them if for some reason they can't use it, or if they have, family that last minute isn't able to use it. I do have a lot of owners that have multiple units in Virginia Beach, some that own multiple ones so they can rent some to cover their maintenance fees on the other ones that they want to use. We charge a small percentage compared to most of the resorts to handle the rentals for them. And they normally rent very well in the summertime here in Virginia Beach because we only have 10 plus resorts. So we're not like Orlando where we have a huge area, and mostly all of the resorts are on the ocean front. There's only one that is a couple blocks off the beach, but they're all within the main strip of the Virginia Beach ocean front.
And we're going to have your information below. People can subscribe down right below. We hope you do. And then Virginia's, Jessica's information and her website will be right there. And we hope that you'll contact her if you're looking to rent there in Virginia Beach.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you find that most owners are renting to pay off the maintenance fee, or they're doing it to actually make a profit? Because I know in sometimes they'll tell them that they can rent points, they can rent fees, and can actually make money. It's an investment, buying a timeshare and then renting it and making a lot of money. How true is any of that?
So actually, I do have a decent amount of owners that own multiple weeks in Virginia Beach, and some of them do it for the profit because if you buy on the resale market, you obviously aren't paying as much as if you buy from the developer, to where it can eventually make you a profit. A lot of owners, though, that I deal with, they just can't. They've either bought through us or we've just dealt with each other over the last 20 years or so. And there are just years where they can't use them or they're going somewhere else. So they'll go ahead and put them up for rent to cover their maintenance fees. And then most of the time they make a little over what their maintenance fee is for the year.
Are they renting them during the high season, or is rental available off season? I mean, people.
We mainly handle just the spring. Yeah, we mainly handle like spring and fall. So around April time until probably September. September can be a little harder just because of hurricane season. We never know what's going to happen. So there are times where the resorts will close down and we'll have to refund renters because they're not available for them. But for the most part, June until the end of August is a very hot season, and almost everything every year rents pretty well.
What timeshares, do all timeshares allow renting?
Everyone here in Virginia Beach does, as far as fixed week owners. All of the resorts that have fixed weeks available, which are all the 11 resorts, they do allow renting of the owner's week.
And can you rent? So you can only rent fixed weeks. You can't rent points.
No, there are owners that have options for points. which if they do have a underlying fixed week, they can use, reserve their fixed week and go ahead and rent that week out. But if they change their dates for a point with a points reservation, they're ultimately not supposed to be renting them out unless it's to family or friends.
Okay, and do you verify the listings? Because I was reading a Red Week post where someone thought they were going to get Ocean View and it was not. And what do you do to protect that?
So I've been
what you're renting is what you get.
After dealing with Virginia Beach itself for the last 20 years with the timeshares, I can pretty much tell by an owner's unit number, no matter what resort it is, exactly what they own just by the unit number, even if they're floating units and the size. But I do have access to the land records in Virginia Beach since I'm a real estate broker. So I do verify, because you will every once in a while get an owner that hasn't used their timeshare for a while, and they're kind of guessing at what their unit number is or the unit type. So we'll just look it up and verify to make sure that we're listing it correctly so that when we do get the confirmation, it doesn't state something different than what, we originally put on the contract.
And then if I were to rent from you, do I pay you the money or do I pay the person I'm renting?
So we handle all of the rental funds through escrow. So you would sign a rental agreement as the renter, and then the owner would also sign one, and we would handle all the rental funds for you and the owner. And usually those get released this year, and last year it's been a little bit different because of COVID. But in a normal year, they would get released once the reservation's confirmed, and we send the confirmation out to the renter.
Okay. And I was reading on your website that one of the advantages is if you rent from another owner, you don't have to attend a sales presentation.
Yes, you are not required. Of course, most resorts are still going to try to get you to, but there's no requirement. And a lot of the resorts, especially the ones that are owner managed, don't have a sales force. So those are kind of the nicer ones. You don't have to worry about getting approached.
Well, how do if somebody wants to rent, how do they determine whether something is fraud or not, whether it's real? How do you determine that?
Well, I usually go on the land records for Virginia Beach and make sure they actually own what they're listing. So we have them fill out a listing form. Most of my owners I rent for, or they're in my database because I've rented before for them. So I've already verified everything. But if I get new listings, like new owners that want to rent them, I'll usually go on the land records and just verify that that's exactly what they own, is what they say they own. And we normally get the confirmation 60 days prior to check-in. So a lot of times we've already verified with the confirmation on top of our verification on that they actually have what they say they have. But like I said, when I verify on the land records, I can tell by their unit number right away what type, size. It doesn't matter what resort it is. I know exactly what it is by looking at their unit number.
I think you have
if
all
I go
this
online. If I go online, I want to rent a week, say in Virginia Beach, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know you. I don't know any of the other resellers or rental agencies. How do I determine whether it's a fraud or not? How can I make that decision before I rent? Because it may not be you, it may be someone else.
Right. And what I normally do is when I send out a rental agreement, because all we ask for originally when they want a rental is certain information that will go on the rental agreement. And then we email them over a rental agreement along with, especially if they're not somebody that's rented from me before, I will send them a copy of my broker's license so they know who they're working with. That way they can verify if they do feel uncomfortable, they can go online and verify my license. But we also have a local office here in Virginia Beach. So if they don't feel comfortable, they can always come here because I do actually get a lot of people in Virginia that come to Virginia Beach.
And then
in the last couple of years, it's been like stay local.
And then do you also sell timeshares?
I do. I don't handle as many resales, but we do. I get a lot of renters after so many years that are ready to buy. I do have ones that never wind up buying, and they've rented for me for the last 10 years, and they could have owned 5 timeshares by then. But we do get a lot of renters that usually want to, look into purchasing once they've tried a resort and they really like the area, or they have family that owns theirs, so they're looking to, come the same time as them, and they'll ask me about purchasing. We do contract through VirginiaBeachTimeshare.com. They have a resale website just for Virginia Beach, and we contract through them as one of their brokers because we can offer a little less commission that way because we're not doing advertising and everything else. They handle all of that. So we just work on selling it on our end. But we do have people that we've, listed before COVID and all of that stuff when we kind of got out of the selling side. And we do still try to, sell those timeshares for them too. But we only handle the Virginia Beach area.
Well, I think there's a huge market for renters in our situation, my husband and I, where we're getting older, and I have rented our first week in Virginia Beach. And I will actually be meeting with Jessica face to face when we're in Virginia Beach. And Wyndham has the Ovation program where you can deed back your points. And then Diamond Resorts has their transition program. And many, many people have taken advantage of that, but we're not so old we can't travel anymore. So we're switching over from being timeshare members and owners to renting. So I think this is wonderful that we can promote that people can rent. I have been reticent in the past because you hear these stories about scammers posting ads, and when you get there, it's already rented. And yes, Red Week and Tug are very good, respectable sites to rent. But it just is reassuring to me that I can go, if I want to go to California, I can call John or I can call Jessica, and I'm not just dealing with an 800 number. I'm dealing with a person. And so I think that's really important. And then the other are the new people that have never owned a timeshare, and they want to just learn about what timeshare is all about instead of just getting pulled off the street and plunking down $25,000 or $50,000 for a timeshare. You can rent, and we have the upcoming guest Koala, where you can rent and you can experience the different resorts and do comparison shop, which is what you would do if you were buying a car or a house. And so I think this is wonderful that through Timeshare Talks we can promote this rental market. And John, I think you don't do too much in renting, or you rent some?
I right now I'm just renting my own units, and I've been interested in what Jessica's doing because I have 7 kids. Well, my kids in that generation can't understand why anybody would buy a timeshare. They have their cell phones, and they can go on to Airbnb, and they can go on to websites like Jessica's or Koala, and they can make arrangements to rent a timeshare, and they don't have to put any money down other than their rental, which they would if they were going to go to any resort. And they don't have to own anything. They don't have to make a major investment. They don't have to be saddled with a maintenance fee year after year. So my kids think owning a timeshare is silly. They go, Dad, why would we want to buy a timeshare? And I think that what Jessica's doing is not only revolutionary, but I think it is evolutionary. I think the whole industry is going to be changing more and more to that, because I think that the younger people, well, they just have more tools than we had when we were young. Yeah. And so I'm really encouraged to have Jessica here. I want to learn more from her, and I think she has a lot to offer to anybody who wants to go to Virginia Beach.
Well, and Wayne, I want to ask, I'd like to ask you, Wayne, is that in your grandmother's timeshare, that was a freestanding timeshare, there were so many weeks, and you sold out all those weeks, and the only thing left was the resale of people that, for whatever reason, were turning those weeks over. But with points seem eternal. I know they say there's a finite number, but there's no ending of. Is it the same as the fixed weeks?
I think Jessica mentioned something that I think the points have to be tied to a deed. Right, Jessica?
Yes. Yeah, they have to be tied to a deed.
So people can, even if they have points, they could use, because when I sold for Santerra, they basically force people to convert their deed to a point.
So
Do
it
they
depends.
still own the deed?
There are. So a lot of, when they first started pitching owners here in Virginia Beach, they gave them the option. So you could either give up your deed and go strictly into the point system, or you could keep your deed and have the option for points. But then, of course, you would have 2 maintenance fees. It just wouldn't be, I think, as high as just a plain points membership.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's no possibility of selling out points and having it be just resale.
Right. By themselves, no.
Yeah. Okay.
It would, you could sell the underlying deed, but you would still have, if you opted for points, you would still have that points membership option that you would pay for.
Right.
I think, Irene, that's in the United States. In Mexico, it's different. They call them travel clubs, and it's completely different. There's no deed. They can just sell as much as they want.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, next week, John, is someone I've gotten to know quite well. She's another Irene, and her name is Irene Roberts, and she is a TARDA board member, Timeshare and Resort Developer Accountability, and she has dissected the public offering statement. And when you buy a timeshare, it's a state mandated document, and some states have on the cover of that document, read carefully before signing. And I don't think I've ever asked anyone, when I said, do you have a public offering statement? They don't respond, what's that? And they dig through their closet and they find their paperwork and they say, oh, it says on the front, read this carefully before signing. And it's an important document that is typically stuffed into your packet of documents and said, here, you can review these when you get home. So she's going to talk about the importance of being aware of that document and what's in it. And I think, that this is wonderful that we can do this consumer education about the fact that there is a secondary market and that you can rent, and documents that you need to know about. So, John, I really appreciate you being our host for this, and Wayne, with your experience as a former, not only a former timeshare executive, but you also were a contract reviewer. So I think you'll be really interested in Irene's discussion next week as well.
And Wayne also wrote a book. It's called Everything About Timeshares. And when I'm talking to people and I can't help them with their timeshare, I tell every one of them, you need to read Wayne Robinson's book. And it is really packed full of great information. That information on
I just got me a copy.
The Amazon link. Yeah, you're going to find the Amazon link down below. And
it's a month to get to Malaysia.
There you go. Yeah. So it's a great book. Everybody thinking about a timeshare or who owns a timeshare should buy Wayne's book.
And I helped edit the book and wrote the foreword.
Yes. Well, thank you all for you guys for being here tonight. It's been a really pleasure to meet Jessica, and we look forward to next week's show. See you soon.
Thank you.